Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Right now at 10, Election Night 2022.
It's my civic duty.
We should all exercise our right to vote.
We have the latest results as Connecticut votes for governor and U.S. Senate.
I'm not nervous, but it is the toughest race in Connecticut.
Folks are fired up and ready to go.
A tight race in the 5th. Congresswoman Johanna Hayes looks to keep her seat as George Logan tries to represent a big portion of Western Connecticut.
I think character matters. I think truth-telling matters.
We're going to work to earn every single vote.
And hanging in the balance, we're tracking races across the country as Democrats and Republicans fight for control of Congress. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10 on this election night. We begin tonight with the latest results in this year's election. Polls open across Connecticut closed 2 hours ago, and the first major call the Associated Press is making is for Senator Richard Blumenthal winning his third term in office, the senator defeating Republican challenger Leora Levy. And if you look at the results right here, you can see Richard Blumenthal with 56%, Leora Levy with 44%. That's only with 20% of precincts reporting. Again, the Associated Press calling this race, but we're still getting those results coming in. Good evening. I'm Jen Bernstein.
And I'm Ben Goldman. Thanks for joining us for your election night coverage. We're your home for coverage of tonight's midterms as we track races all across Connecticut and as the rest of the country decides the balance of power in Congress. We have live team coverage all night long. Our reporters are all across the state following all the big races from the governor's race, U.S. Senate race, and the 5th congressional district race. Senator Richard Blumenthal has, as we reported, won a third term.
Yeah, Senator Blumenthal served as our state's attorney general for 2 decades before taking over for Senator Chris Dodd in 2011.
Fox 61's Matt Caron kicks off our live team coverage at Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford, where Senator Blumenthal is holding his election night party. Matt.
Yeah, hi, guys. We are live here at Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford, where it is very much a party atmosphere. The band is playing. They're bringing out the hors d'oeuvres. A lot of people very excited tonight. It's a who's who, really, of elected Democrats and Democratic Party officials. But the man of the hour, as you mentioned, is Democratic incumbent Senator Richard Blumenthal, who was just elected to a third term in the United States Senate. It took only 1 minute after the polls closed for that race to be called. He was on the stage here behind me for a victory speech just a couple of moments ago. Senator Blumenthal was introduced by fellow Senator Chris Murphy and was joined on stage by his wife, Cynthia. He began by thanking Democrats and his supporters. He told the crowd that whether or not people voted for him, he would continue to fight for them and for Connecticut values, putting the state first. Senator Blumenthal told me he thinks the country needs to come together and people need to reach across the aisle more. Then it got a little more specific on the issues, and he said he's going back to Washington to fight for many things. Here's what he had to say.
My job has been always to stand up for them, and it has never been more important than now. Because of the rising costs of inflation, because of the efforts on the part of Republicans to decimate Social Security and Medicare, and because so much is at stake, including women's reproductive rights and freedoms.
All right, and I asked Senator Blumenthal if he has heard from his challenger tonight, Republican Leora Levy. As of a couple of minutes ago, he still had not heard from her. I also asked him if he felt confident that Democrats would be able to maintain their slim majority in the United States Senate, where the Vice President Kamala Harris casts that tie-breaking vote. He says he's not confident they'll be able to do that. He hopes, though, that they will, but that regardless, anything that gets done in the Senate will require bipartisanship. We're live here at Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford. Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.
Very close margins in the U.S. Senate. Matt, thank you very much. And now we want to head to Trumbull at Leora Levy's headquarters.
Fox 61's Tony Black continuing our live team coverage, reporting from Trumbull. Tony, so far, Matt says we've not heard from Leora Levy. Any word from you?
Yeah, you guys, we have not heard from Leora Levy just yet, who the AP is calling the race for Senate in favor of her opponent, Democratic incumbent Senator Richard Blumenthal, who, as you heard, did announce his victory. And we're being told that Levy will address the crowd here in Trumbull at about 10:30. But the people here at the GOP watch party at the Trumbull Marriott Hotel say it is still too early to call, though. They say that this race is not over until it is over. They want to see more of those results come in. As you mentioned, only about 20% of precincts reporting votes right now. They want to see more numbers come in before they do call this race for Blumenthal. Levy told me earlier today that she was cautiously optimistic about her win. I have reached out to her campaign. They say that they will be coming out around 10:30, so stick with us for that. But people here say that there are still enough uncounted votes to win her that Senate seat.
My thoughts are it's too early. There's not enough voters in. A lot of the voters I know that are Republican voted later in the day, not early, didn't vote by absentee or mail-in vote.
Again, waiting for Leora Levy to address the crowd here. She did tell me earlier that she will accept whatever the results of this election are. As you mentioned, so 20% of precincts reporting Blumenthal with 157,000 votes, Leora Levy with 124,000 votes. Again, a lot of more ballots to be voted and counted tonight, so those numbers could change. We are waiting for Leora Levy, who will be speaking around 10:30, so stay with us here on the Fox 61 News for that. Live in Trumbull, Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
Tony, thank you very much. The Associated Press again calling that race, and our live coverage continues breaking down these big races.
Fox 61's Keith McGilvery joining us in the studio at the big board. He's joined alongside Dr. Wes Renfro from Quinnipiac University, and you guys are taking a look at the numbers that made up this call by the AP.
Yeah, correct? We are. Ben and Jen want to start with those details. We first brought folks as breaking news on Fox 61 Plus. Let's take this full screen if we can. Of course, we were talking about this race for U.S. Senate. Richard Blumenthal securing a third seat in Washington, a third term in Washington, moving down the ballot for folks right now. Governor Lamont ahead by about 10 percentage points in the race for Attorney General William Tong, seeking another term with right now 55% of the vote. Secretary of the State Stephanie Thomas in the lead there. It is more blue for comptroller and treasurer as well. Wes, as we look at this Senate race, though, your gut reaction to the results here?
No surprises. This is a state that has a heavily Democratic lean. He's an incumbent. I don't think that anyone really thought that Leora Levy was going to win.
All right, and while we have you here, I want to jump to this 5th district race. So many eyes on all of this. Right now, Jahana Hayes leading by some 2,000 votes. Only 13% of the vote total in. What say you?
You know, it's still very early. I'm a numbers guy. We don't quite know how many's left and where they're coming from. All that being said, I think there's a little room for some cautious optimism. I don't think that we're looking for a blowout in which she will lose. It may still be close. Who knows? But things are slightly better than they were a half hour ago.
All right, and just quickly, I'll give folks a look here. Take this full. Congressional District 1, a Democrat leading there. Congressional District 2, Congressional District 3 and 4. Obviously, we will follow these results with the closest eye on District 5 as we continue throughout the night tonight. Ben and Jen.
All right, Keith, thank you. The other big race we're watching, a rematch of the 2018 gubernatorial election.
Governor Ned Lamont versus Bob Stefanowski and independent candidate Rob Hodeling. Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst is live at in Hartford at Dunkin' Donuts Park with the Lamont campaign. What's going on there, Emma?
Yeah, Jen, Ben, the mood here very high, very excited. The band is back in full swing now, and as you can see behind me, this room is very packed. Results starting to trickle in, and like I said, mood very high, especially after the announcement just a bit ago of Senator Blumenthal's win. Now, still no sign of Governor Lamont. I spoke with his campaign again, who told me he still will not be coming out here to speak with supporters until his race is called. Preliminary results with just about 19% reporting, showing Lamont with about an 11-point lead over Stefanowski. Now, that's in line with polling throughout this race, which showed Lamont holding a double-digit lead over his Republican challenger. Like I said, still no sign of Lamont yet, and I'm being told the same same goes for some of those other Democrat candidates who are supposed to be here tonight for this watch party at Dunkin' Donuts Park, like Stephanie Thomas, Eric Russell, even Attorney General William Tong. I actually heard someone say Tong might be coming in a few minutes, so we'll try and grab that for you. But we'll be here all night following the gubernatorial race. And for now, live in Hartford, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61 News.
A lot of excitement in the room there, Emma. Thank you very much. And Republican candidates are gathered in Trumbull for a watch party tonight,
including gubernatorial candidate Bob Stefanowski. Fox 61's Gabby Molina continues our live team coverage. She joins us there with what's the scene in Trumbull tonight. Gabby?
Well, Ben and Jen, in the last hour or so, we did see Bob Stefanowski and his running mate Laura Devlin join the crowd here at the Trumbull Marriott. You can see behind me that it is a packed room. We haven't seen them in the last few minutes or so, though, so we are going to continue to kind of keep an eye on how things are looking out here. Now, we did hear from the GOP chairman, who did get on the microphone to say basically they are still waiting for results. They haven't called any races yet, and they basically said it's not over until it's over, so they are going to continue to wait for those results to come in. And we did get a chance to speak to Stefanowski earlier, and he said that he got a chance to speak to voters all around the state today, and he feels that if he does win, one of the reasons that he is feeling so positive about the day is because he feels like he really connects with voters on the issue of making Connecticut more affordable.
I'll attribute the win to, I think, a lack of awareness. I don't think the governor is ignoring people, but I don't think he understands how much people are suffering. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. I know what it's like to struggle to make a rent payment. I know what it's like to buy a used car rather than a new car. And I feel for people.
Now, among some of his campaign promises to making Connecticut more affordable, he promised tax cuts, he promised tapping into the state's rainy day fund and giving that money to residents. And again, Stefanowski said that he was feeling optimistic. The vibe here in the room tonight, still very much optimistic. Again, a packed room, so we are going to continue to follow this and bring you updates as results continue to come in. Live in Trumbull, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.